Deep in the Canadian backcountry, on the border between Alberta and British Columbia, is a lake so majestic, I'd dedicate an entire road trip to see it, Carnarvon Lake. But there's only one problem. It'll require climbing a wall where only one slip will mean disaster. Being terrified of heights, is this something too much for me? And if I did get up there, would I be able to summit one of the peaks cradling this lake? These are questions I would set out to find answers for. This story begins with a late start to the day heading south from Calgary to Kananaskis Country. Carnarvon Lake is located in the southern part of Cananaskis Country. It's a hiking location fairly known in the area, but there's not a lot of video data on the hike. Well, good afternoon. I'm here at the Cat Creek, I believe, parking lot, heading up to Carnarvon, whatever it's called, Lake, Mount Strachan, something like that. A whole bunch of good stuff up there. Let's get going. This hike raises 800 meters over 11 kilometers one way, rounding out for a 22-kilometer hike. And this is just to the lake, not including any bonus peaks. So this hike is the #1 hike on my bucket list out here in the Canadian Rockies in Alberta. What's interesting about this one, it starts in a day use area, and then it goes through, I think, Don Getty Provincial Park, and then it goes into BC when you get up to the lake. My brother, who lives out here, gave me a heads up that there's a creek crossing at the beginning, and if you go any other time of year besides what I'm doing right now, is beginning of August, you'll have to either take off your boots or wade through some water or whatever. There's so many grasshoppers down here jumping everywhere. Thought maybe I'm getting a bit of a late start here. It's about 1 o'clock, but we got a couple people there behind me that are starting at the same time, backpacking bags, so makes me feel a little more confident about my slow start here. I just got a glimpse down there of the river. There's water in there, and you can just barely see down right there. Nice green water. Good? Yeah. That water was so cold. I was tempted to walk through, but better to take off the boots since I gotta have them going for the next couple days here. So the plan here is to do the 12 kilometers hike in, and then I'll go bag a couple peaks, and on the day out I will run everything or most of it down all the way out. After crossing the river, you get deep into the forest where the trail just continually goes up and up and up through a forest with no views. This turned out to be one of the most boring hikes I've ever done. It's a hike I'd consider a yin-yang hike, one that has such extraordinary beauty matched with such an incredibly boring trail. Between kilometers 3 and 5 here, it's more of this just forested kind of horse trail. Super easy hiking, just kind of zone out, one foot in front of the other. Oh, and apparently this lake is called Carnarvon. It's like a pirate saying, like, "Arr, Carnarvon." So I gotta remember that. So 6.5 kilometers now into this It's more of the same. You can see it's just kind of getting a little bit bushy and more narrow, but I just realized my trekking pole tent requires 2 trekking poles. It's a Dan Durson X-Mid one person. It takes 2 trekking poles to put it up, and now I brought one. Just came across these bikes, pretty smart. There's also 2 dudes that came down on electric bikes with fishing rods, so see all sorts of people out here. Oh, so this is the first real water source since kilometer 2, and now we're kilometer 8. Yeah, probably 3 or 4 more kilometers to get up there. It's a pretty monotonous trail back there. We should be getting to the good stuff now. So we're definitely getting closer. You can see the mountain there. So between kilometers 7 and 9, it gets quite a bit steeper, but still pretty boring trail. I probably got 2 kilometers to the lake, I'm hoping, because going a little stir crazy in the woods here. Need to see something. After a long and laborious hike through the woods, climbing up a stone staircase with minimal to no views, you eventually get your eyes on the base of Carnarvon Lake. Now technically you can't see Carnarvon Lake, you can see the waterfall. You see the lake is perched up really high in a bowl between Mount Strahan and Mount Carnarvon. It is magical out here, wow. Finally getting out of the bush. Such a long trail. Look at this. So that's Mount Strahan or something, the one we're going to try to do tomorrow. If it's too hard, we also got these 2. I'm going to try to at least do one of these on each side. And where we're camping is up there, I believe. Yeah, you can see a trail right up there. There appears to be a fork with 2 routes. I took the one that went up. Hopefully that's the right way. If you look just to the left of the tree right there, that's the 2 people from earlier. We got an amazing waterfall down here. Look at this. Another one up there. You eventually get your eyes on the base of Carnarvon Lake. Now technically you can't see Carnarvon Lake. The only thing you can really see is the waterfall cascading down in a big, daunting rock wall. As I started to approach, I began to become nervous as I knew there was a wall that needed to be climbed, but the limited visual beta really didn't show how steep this thing truly was. When you're far enough away, you don't have enough information to make a decision on how challenging this is going to be, so you just kind of go with it. As I got closer and closer, I realized it would be a much more serious objective to get up there, as the wall was vertical and I didn't see any direct path up there. Now initially I thought the path would be going on the left side of the waterfall. As you get further and further up, it becomes quite clear that there's a very skinny path along the right side, and there's a huge block of rock that you need to ascend on the right side of with the assistance of a chain. Somehow, getting a little nervous. Got to go up there. I think it goes up this way and then up. I'm not sure. Well, it's pretty darn steep. I know there's a little scramble there, but I don't know how much. see that group up there, they're going up the chains. It's nice there's a chain to hold on to. There's also a chain right there. And so some people go up right here. Other people go up over here and around. Pretty freaking nervous right now, I'll be honest. I mean, look at this. I got some bushes here to hold on to, which is good, and there's chains. So I'm happy I don't actually have to scramble this, like straight up, it's chains. Looks pretty dicey, man. Now the section with the chain is like nothing else. This is where hiking turns into climbing. It's a little bit confusing too. So there's about 80-foot section of vertical climbing. The first section is sloped and it's not too bad. And really, I'll break it down into 3 sections. The first section, if you're having problems with that, you probably shouldn't go any further because it only gets harder from there. As you go up this section, there's chains to hold on, there's footsteps. The problem is a lot of the rock, whatever type of rock that is, any of the spots that had grip at one point don't have grip anymore because so many people have stepped on those spots using them for footholds. So anything that looks like a foothold is actually slippery because the rock is polished clear. Once reaching this skinny plateau with the shrub, the first of 3 sections was done. The next section, by far, would be the most difficult. So as you get up onto that section, now you're on a skinny shelf. The shelf's only like a foot wide. You have to shimmy across and you're looking up. Now, if there wasn't a chain, there was no way I'd be able to get up there. And I think that's the case for most people. Somebody, possibly the parks board, installed a chain up there. Unfortunately, there's just basically a flat wall that goes up about 25 feet. There are tiny few little footholds, but the problem once again is everyone's been using them, that they've been polished smooth. So actually it's a hindrance to put your feet on those footholds, because as you step on them, your foot just slips right off. Because I saw a couple groups go up, I figured out what the proper technique was to get up there, and that's a full-on reverse rappel, where your legs are almost completely straight and you're using the chain and leaning back, which means less of the force is being pushed on your feet and more of it's on your arms. As you do that, you can actually get grip on the wall with your feet if it's perfectly flat. Now, it seems kind of freaky to be leaning back, holding onto a chain with your feet like 90 degrees to the wall, because if your hands slip, you're going to be falling at least 400 or 500 feet below you off the cliff. But that really is the only way to get grip on this hike. There's a few little nooks and crannies you can jam your feet into a little bit higher up, but you've got about a 10-foot section from the bottom that's just straight flat to get up. Now this is where it all went downhill for me, as I tried the first time to get up there with some cameras rolling, and it was distracting me too much. I was worried that if I jammed myself into a crack and I had cameras rolling on my shoulders, on my back, that I would destroy my cameras because I'd be too stressed out. So I climbed down, I put away all the cameras, tucked everything in my bag, and just took it really serious. Nothing's rolling. This was just me and the wall. I went back up there. I got that first 10 feet up. I'm dangling on the wall and holding onto this chain. And I had done something very interesting, which gave me a psychological advantage. I took the chain and I ran it through my 2 sternum straps and my waist belt. And then I clipped those over top of it. So as if I was somehow like a rock climbing harness attached to the chain. It just gave me psychological boost. This was enough to get me up 10 feet off the wall, holding onto the chain, leaning back, feet on the wall. I started to get really nervous, like I wanted to quit, I wanted to go back. Now the problem with this is this entire road trip was based on Carnarvon Lake. This was the #1 thing, the only thing that I just wanted to make sure I saw. I'm hanging on this wall. I've got 15 feet of climbing above me to the next little plateau spot. And it's either I go up or I go back home. And just as I was in this moment where I was trying to decide, the decision was made for me as I started to get gravel, loose gravel, starting to spray and hit me in the face. I looked up and gravel, little tiny gravel bits, just peppering me in the face, and I was wondering what was going on. And then I heard a couple of voices above me, and suddenly a boulder about the size of, I don't know, 2 or 3 times the width of my head, flat though, still had some thickness to it, likely the rock was about 20 to 25 pounds, came spinning like a disc straight at my face as I'm holding on to this chain in the middle of the crux, the hardest spot on the entire route. And this thing came just like a slow motion spinning right at my face. And I don't know if it's just the days back in martial arts and boxing. I held onto that chain and I just totally bobbed and weaved right underneath it, just flew right over my right shoulder. I freaked out and immediately was filled with rage that someone would push down such a big rock and not call it out. The only reason I was telegraphed of the rock is because the gravel came down and was spraying me in the face. I immediately yelled some profanities, and then I used that rage, and I just, like, I don't even know if I was using my legs. My arms just pulled myself up like it was nothing. I jumped up on there and I looked up, and then the next section too was actually quite steep, but because I had so much rage, I just flew right up there. And I was able to capture a few moments of both of this entire section on the way down, is what you're seeing here. If I got hit in the head with a rock and it did, damage to me, I would have just, knocked out and fell to my death. I was quite angry about that. I pop up. I've got these 2 conflicting emotions, the rage and then the happiness from getting on top. And I look up and there's 2 beautiful women standing there. What a very confusing set of emotions in my brain now, is all 3 things going through my head. They looked down at me and they immediately apologized. They were very sorry. They were like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." At least they learned a lesson here, and I hope everyone takes a lesson. If you push any rocks, even if it's just bits of gravel, you gotta call it. But that thing was huge. It was a huge rock and it was spinning. 25 pounds right in anywhere, it would have been game over. So I climbed up there. They felt really bad. I think they were pretty young, and I'm guessing they just didn't know the proper protocols. They didn't understand the dangers that they were putting out there by doing that. Now that's the hardest thing I've ever done on a hike. That was rough because the rock is slick, so you're looking for places that are got some grip. Oh. Adrenaline's wearing off. I gotta get up here, I'm crashing. Once I got up there, the wind was absolutely just tearing. It was so windy up there. And it's not a cakewalk when you get to the top either. There's some, spicy little spots just to get around the front part of the lake. You see the lake comes right to the edge of the rock and it's constantly pouring off the cliff. That's what causes the waterfalls. The lake is just dumping off the cliff. Wow. Look at this. Oh my God. The air is warm up here, so warm. I thought it was gonna be cold up here. I think I'm gonna sleep just fine. Let's go scope out where you sleep. It's gale force winds up here. Whew. So windy. Just walking through here trying to find the best campsite. I think there's definitely some plots here that's all just pretty wild. I just need to find something that is square and flat. Like this is pretty nice. Look at this, beautiful. Let's keep going along here. Oh, someone's got this one. That's a nice spot. I think we're running out of spots over here. Pretty slim pickings. It's just turned into rocks. Yeah. All right, there's one spot by the lake there. Let's go grab that one. So I found this long stretch here. It's got rocks, but it's fairly flat. And then there's this over here. This is worse. Bigger rocks. I could go in the woods there too. Keep me nice and protected in there. But I think I like this. I want to camp right here. Just put it, I think this spot right there. You can just kind of tuck in under the trees. Sadly, I'm finding little bits of plastic from people's wrappers, so just make sure you always, when you rip off something, like you put that in your bag, you don't just let it go into nature here, because this is such a pristine, beautiful place. We don't want this to get, tarnished with plastic that takes like a million years to break down. So I was setting up my tripod here, and see there's some plastic here. We'll just take this out. There's a couple other little bits, but I mean, we don't want this in the environment, so put that in the garbage. People need to do better. This is a Nature Valley wrapper here. That's gonna come out. Sadly, I can't continue that time lapse because I have to take the tripod off and use that because I forgot my other pole. I got it set up as best as possible. You can see the tripod in here. So you just push it in there. The problem is there's actually quite a bit of downward force once everything's tensioned. There's a guy line on here, so I'm going to tie that to this tree, and then maybe I don't need the pole. So it came with this, and yeah, let's just tie that right there. I think that'll work. There we go. Look at that. It looks like a tent to me. It's a little bit floppy because my tripod's not in there anymore. So windy. I just need to come up on this ridge and see what's up here. Wow, it's really cool. It'd be nice to camp up here too, but way too windy. Way too windy. Yo, check this out. Unbelievable. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, it's unbelievable that places like this exist in nature. Wow. So technically I'm in BC right now, and if I go over here, now I'm in Alberta. Alright, I gotta head back down to camp. I haven't hardly eaten anything. I've eaten 2 bars today, 2 little fruit bars. I need to filter some water and make some food. I didn't bring a stove this time. I'm just doing cold soaking or like just kind of raw stuff. I've got dates, oatmeal, that kind of thing. These are the kind of places you come, clear your mind, and ask the universe questions. Questions you need answered. You find it in a place like this. So peaceful. One thing I absolutely love about coming out to a place like this is it resets your circadian rhythm. Like it's 8:15 right now and I'm feeling like, oh, it's getting close to bedtime here. When you're in the city, it just gets all messed up. There's screens and TVs and your phone and all that stuff. Lights, there's lights everywhere, and it just really messes up your clock. Get out here and it just feels so good. You get right back to nature. So inside I've got my vestibule here, which will have, you know, my water, bag, all that kind of stuff. Basically nothing I want to sleep with. And then inside here, pillow up there. This is the Kings Canyon UL. I'm using a Climate Static V pad, which I'd like to upgrade at some point. And yeah, that's basically it. It's always a good idea to brush your teeth and all that, to get all your food and anything that has smell. So you have fragrances, deodorant, any of that kind of stuff, pack it all up in your food bags before it gets dark. Yeah, I got it all tied up. It's about 100 meters over there. Good morning from beautiful Carnarvon Lake. It's a little bit of a rough night. I didn't bring my puff. I thought I could kind of tough it out without it. Also, my mattress deflated, so I'm not sure if I punctured it, like sleeping on that rocks or whatever. Yeah, so I've made some decisions about if I'm staying a second night or whatever. I'm not. I'm gonna leave today, and I'm gonna go bag the peaks, come back down, pack up and leave. The reason for that is it's the descent. It's that thing, that gnarly thing I climbed up. I just having like almost nightmares, but being awake, I couldn't get asleep. Just thinking like, okay, should I face this way? Should I face that way? Like I'm all messed up with it. So I gotta tackle that today. Tomorrow it might be raining at this point in time, so it's just too risky. I can't do that in the rain. So you can see behind me, the sun is not in that back bowl yet. It'll be cool in there, so I'm gonna take off soon. I'm gonna be taking about 4 liters of water, 4.5. I'd rather take extra water because obviously there's nothing up on top of these mountains. Just climbed up on top of the bluff here. Now I'm in BC. What is the best thing to do here? That's So looking at this one, you go up there and then go behind and up this ridge. That ridge doesn't look too steep from my eyes, at least from here. I don't know. I don't like making these decisions right now. Just want to have a plan and just go to it.
Conflicted, I spent about 15 minutes weighing my options. With no internet connection, I just looked at the topo, tried to decide which was the most likely peak I could summit. I'd already ruled out Mount Strahan as it had the extreme exposure. Second option was the west summit of Mount Muir. After flying my drone in, it looked similar to Mount Strahan. It was a steep scree slope and also didn't look that probable based on my skill set. The third option was the north summit of Carnarvon Peak. To me, this looked like the most probable mountain I could summit. In hindsight, there's actually a fourth option, the southwest peak of Mount Muir, which I would have rather tried instead if I had looked closer at it. After settling on option 3, it was time to give it a shot.
You can see my tent. Look at that hair. Look at me. What is going on here? Just studying the topo. I just want to get on top of this peak, which doesn't really have a name. I guess technically it would be named Mount Carnarvon North. I'm hoping for low wind. The wind's starting to kick up right now, so you know, who knows. So I'm just gonna head up on the grass over here, try to stay off the rock as much as possible, and get up onto that plateau, and then go up. And that Strahan one right now is actually looking, because you get up on the rock, it looks a little bit safer than I thought, but it does have an exposed death drop. I don't know, I just got it in my brain right now. There's two guys that recently fell off, and these experienced guys. They fell off Mount Coulthard and sadly perished at the bottom. So, and that's exactly the kind of thing they fell off. You make one slip and you kind of roll a bit, and boom, off that cliff you go. It's horrible. So I don't know, I got that in my mind right now, and I don't want any death drops today. Aside for the one I gotta go down later. So there's actually a little waterfall right down there. There's running water, look at this, all the way up here. Amazing. Trying to decide here if I go up the green grassy slope that's steep and find like a bench up there. I don't know if there's a bench, or just go straight through, you know, plow through the rock. The slope on this rock is much better than up there. So I decided to push in further and go at it at an angle. There are certain sections of the rock, it's all loose rock, and you step on it, everything moves, but sometimes you get these little plateaus where there's sections that are a little more flat and then they go up, and some of them stick out, and it just feels like there's little sections where if you were to fall, then you would land on that plateau, but if you went over there and there's no plateau, you'd fall and fall and fall. So there's just all these spots you kind of think about this kind of stuff. I got to multiple sections where it kept on going straight up, and it was just so steep. So I decided to keep pushing further and further back into the back of the bowl, and I saw like a bit of a ridge or like a line, maybe mountain goats or something use that. To multiple sections, it wasn't a trail, it wasn't even booted in that much, but it was just a bit of an undulation in the terrain. I thought maybe I can use that to get up there, because it went at a diagonal at the back up to the top of this. Well, the sun's just starting to come over now. My nerves are cooked. I thought there'd be a trail or some sort of something. I mean, it's just so steep and I'm not comfortable on this stuff. It's remarkable how much I've been up here, but we got one last little attempt here because I can't go straight up this thing. I mean, if it was life or death, I could, but it's not worth the risk. It's just so much. So I came from way over there and up here, right? Well, I saw this bench over here that's been catching the light. So I'm gonna go down a little bit and go around, and maybe there's a nicer ramp on that side. So I've pushed so far in, I've actually gone multiple kilometers this way. I'm like looking right up at Carnarvon Peak there. But I'm comfortable on this stuff. This is a great slope. And I'm just looking, there's a bench right above me there that I might be able to get. But I'm gonna make a call here pretty quick because I'm getting stressed out and I got a long journey down. The one thing that's keeping me going up right now is I don't want to have to go back down when I just came up. It's nasty. It's really nasty. And there's this big bowl that starts right over here, and if I get in that goes right between everything. It should be a nice slope all the way down. So if I get up high enough, I can get into that bowl. So the moment of truth here, I think I can get, it looks like you can walk right into the bowl there. Hopefully, I don't think it's too steep. I think it's gonna be nice. Now for this, I've been looking at this bench. This looks very doable. I mean, I think there's even a bit of a trail in there. So I pushed all the way back in there, switched back, started going up this diagonal, and I got about halfway up it, and then it just started to go up really steep again. And at this point, I was just staring at the top, and it must have been 200 meters from me. It was so close, and I was already like 5 or 6 kilometers deep into this. I'm just trying to see if there is actually a plateau or a ramp or something. It went from a steep angle that I wasn't comfortable at already, and it just went even more steep. It was a kind of situation where in life or death, and I had to get up there to save my life, I would go do it. But if I'm out there for challenging myself and I'm out there for pleasure and filming videos and living life, that wasn't worth it. It's a kind of situation, if you did slip, you would start spinning and flying down, and you would be lucky if you were even awake enough to push the rescue button on an inReach and get a helicopter to save you. So I got to that point. I just realized it was time to turn around, but it really was heartbreaking when I had to decide that I wasn't going to get up there. For all the mountaineers and stuff out there, they probably chuckle and stuff because it's not even technically a peak, but that's not the point. The point is to set a goal and to go challenge myself. I know it's beyond my limit, and just to push and see what I'm made of. How far can I get up there? Can I actually get up there? It's frustrating. I gotta bail. I know I gotta bail because I can't handle the steepness at this height. I can scramble up this, like I can. I'm doing it down there. So the summit is somewhere up there. I'm guessing near where that big rock is. And there's a bit of a shelf up there too, so it's probably on the left side. Now, if we follow this down, like there's little pockets where you got little flat spots, and I can go from one to the next to the next. Like I could definitely probably make it up to this green patch up here. It just gets steeper and steeper at the top. And like there's a bit of a plateau here. Like slightly, but you can see it just drops off to oblivion right there, which is why I went around that. And it's getting me panicky. Now this trip, it really had both elements to it. I failed on the upper section trying to get to a peak there, but I was able to get up to the lake, which was far more difficult. There's no way I think I'd ever be able to get up something like that where I'm holding onto a rope and climbing a section of 25 feet almost vertical, and then another section that's stair-steppy but still quite steep above another 20 feet, and another 30-40 feet below there. Like total, it's got to be around 80 feet of just climbing to get up there. It felt so good, and I felt so proud of myself. And then this hike really was the yin and the yang. Flip side is I failed on the summit.
I'm starting to feel my legs go weak, and I'm just like, God damn it. Well, I came here to like practice on scree, but not like this, not a mountain of scree. It's just, this is unreal. I just keep looking at it, and it's really like 10 minutes of a good push to get up there. It's just beyond my level. I can't. If I get up this, I don't know if I can get down it. That's the problem. My legs are starting to go noodle, and I gotta get out of here. I'm just disappointed in myself, but I can't. I know this is beyond my limit. There's not even a nice trail to boot in. It's just like going up a insanely steep wall of rock. How's this for a fashion trend? Neck is gonna get burnt. So I'm just heading down now. I probably should pay attention because this is still really steep. So I'm gonna head to this green patch and then go down and go to the end of the green right there into the bowl and right down. I pray there's no little cliff drop-offs inside that crack. Okay, so the entry to the bowl is looking good. The drop-off starts over on the right. It's pretty treacherous terrain, if I'm honest. Well, I've successfully got into the, you can see here, the valley, or whatever you want to call it, the ditch. And as expected, there's bigger rocks in the ditch, so it's easier to move in here. And if you listen carefully, below my feet is the gurgling of water. Also ahead of me, it looks clear. There's no cliffs or anything. We'll see once we get around that corner, but I think we'll be good. Just rounding the final corner here, which looked really steep, and it looks good. My path worked. You can see the berm here, how steep that is behind me, and on this side too. They're really steep. If there was a cliff here, I'd be screwed. I'd have to go back all the way up there a long ways. So the true route up this peak here is right ahead of me. So apparently you follow this ridge, and then when you get to that rock bluff, there's a sharp left and a sharp right, and then up the middle. There isn't a snowball's chance in hell I'd be going up that. After I failed on that summit, I also started to get nervous because I used adrenaline to get up the climbing section because I was angry. Someone had, knocked down a big rock at my head. And I realized, well, I wouldn't be going down with adrenaline. Could I do it? When I got to the lake, I knew I was packing up and I was getting out of there that day. I had to get off that section immediately because it was stressing me out. There's no way I was going to sleep. All right, I'm all packed up now. It's game time. I'm going to go to the other side of the lake and crush that descent. There's no one back here. I'm the only one back here. I felt like I've wanted to vomit now for the last 2 hours. The longer this goes, the worse it gets, so I gotta just get this done now. There's no way I could sleep another night here.
And the wind is back. Woo! All right, I'm right in the middle of it. You can see the chains behind me. There's 3 there, and the hardest one is right in front of me. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. I'm gonna hook myself into this chain, get this done. Whew. This is the best I can do, guys. Sorry. I would love to put this on my bag here, but I'm like I just keep scraping against the rocks and stuff. It's for my own safety. I gotta just do it this way. But you can see there's a part down there. Let's get this done. I made it down. I made it down. So you can see I have it threaded through my waist belt and my sternum strap. That's the only way I could do it. You full on have to rappel. You have to push your butt back and try to grip because a lot of this is slick. Oh God, that's so scary. Oh, what I didn't anticipate, the top part. I thought it was, at least I talked myself up to being 12 feet. It's actually about 20 or more. It's a long ways. There's just enough little divots and like things to put your toes in, but you have to really be watching. Man, if somebody came up here with a chisel and just put in a few spots, it'd be so much better. I can't believe we went down that. Oh, it's time to get out of here. I got 11K to get out of here, so. I won't lie, this chain here, for not that comfortable either. Well, there's the waterfall crux way back there. And if we look up here, this is the peak I was trying to get on top today. That one should be the Carnarvon Peak. And I was actually right in between, right there, because I went so far over. And I have a pretty wild Strava track from this one. Back to the 11 kilometers of slog, of the most boring hike ever. Woo! After I finally got off this, off the summit block there, off the skinny ridge, all that stuff, scramble down, I can finally relax. I can't imagine doing that in the rain. This is where I got water when I came in. So I'm just noticing some of the wounds I got today. I didn't even notice, but this is all shredded. Ooh, I got really sliced up over here. A little bit of a view here. 2 kilometers left. Woo! Oh, it's cold. Oh. That's cold. Oh. If you look, this big mountain right here, that's where I was up on the backside today. So for both days, I think it's about 30 kilometers and 13, maybe 1,400 meters of elevation gain. I'm not sure. I'll put on the screen here both my Strava days, but it's a lot. Now I need to go find a river and have a bath. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But just down the road, I found the Lineham Recreation Area, something like that. It has a river that looks beautiful and is running. So that's just a lookout. Let's go down to the actual water. Woo! I just had a full-on bird bath, but you guys didn't need to see all that. This was the tale of Mount Carnarvon. I will forever have this locked in my memory banks as exactly what it was. It had both elements, the light and the dark. It was such a remarkable experience. And I hope this encourages you guys to get out and find your own experiences like this, because this is really truly what the point of life is. See you in the next one.